It's time that I give you all the details of the breakup, of why I stopped following Dave Ramsey. Hey guys, I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel, I love to share all things budgeting and share about how you can enjoy life while still accomplishing financial goals. So if you want to stick around and learn all about budgeting, especially as it relates to your family, then definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel so you won't miss a new video. So back when I was in college, a little over 5 years ago, I learned about Dave Ramsey and I got to take his financial peace class while I was in college. And my husband Jacob actually got to take it with me, and we were just dating at the time. And it was super helpful for us as we were navigating our budget and our finances as we were preparing to get married. And we actually did use a lot of Dave Ramsey's principles as we were newlyweds and looking to take control of our finances. But there are a lot of ways that we didn't follow Dave Ramsey then, and how I don't follow him even more now. So actually my friend Kelly at Freedom in a Budget recently did a video talking about the ways that she doesn't follow Dave Ramsey anymore. So I'll leave a link to her video down below so you can check hers out as well. But I wanted to sit down and share the reasons why we actually don't follow Dave Ramsey anymore. Now I will give Dave the credit because without him, I don't know if we would have paid off our debt as soon as we did. Taking Financial Peace University really motivated us to pay off our student loans. We had over $80,000 of student loan debt, and it really just got us excited and encouraged to be able to pay off debt. And we've also been able to save for an emergency fund and have really been inspired by a lot of what Dave Ramsey has said, and I will totally give him credit for that. But there are just some things that we now don't follow that we either used to, or things that we just never followed to begin with. The first way is with credit cards. Now, Dave Ramsey hates credit cards and he doesn't believe in using them at all or building any sort of credit score. But this is something that we've actually done since the beginning of our marriage. When I took Financial Peace University, neither my husband or myself had a credit card, and we therefore thought that we should never use them because Dave Ramsey said so. But as time went on and we learned that we could be responsible with our finances, we decided that it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to start using a credit card. So we opened one with USAA, which gives us 1.5% cash back. And then we also opened an Alaska Airlines credit card a few years later, which allows us to be able to get a free companion fare for travel. So we get some travel benefits with one credit card and some cash back with the other one. And I will tell you, even though I've used credit cards now for 5 years, we've never paid a single dime in interest, and we've just been able to utilize the benefits of having a credit card. We use our cashback rewards to be able to fund our Christmas fund every year. That's what we use for all Christmas gifts. And then we've used our Alaska Airlines card to be able to travel once a year. We typically love to go to Hawaii, and so that really helps offset the cost of the trip by getting a free ticket, and we only have to pay for one ticket to send us both to Hawaii. Now, credit cards can be tricky, and I would never recommend for someone who can't control themselves with their finances to get a credit card, because they can be really awful, and the interest rates on credit cards are huge. And I've seen so many people who use credit cards and get carried away and end up having so much credit card debt, and it can just feel like it's consuming you because this interest rate is so high, which makes it really hard to get that balance down. And I think that this is why Dave Ramsey says no credit cards whatsoever, is because there are a lot of people who just can't control themselves. But for those who have a budget and are able to be mindful of their finances and pay off a credit card every month in full, that's the key. I think that credit cards are actually a really great, useful tool. But obviously, you have to use them responsibly. The second reason why I stopped following Dave Ramsey is because of his idea on saving for retirement. Now, Dave Ramsey will say that you shouldn't save for retirement until you have all of your debt paid off and you have your emergency fund in place. And this even means, he says, not to even put into your 401k to get the employer match. He says not even to do that, which I completely disagree with. When my husband and I got married and we started our first jobs right out of college, we actually worked for the same employer, and they offered a 4% match. So if we put in 4%, they would put in 4%. So if we didn't put in anything, we would just be missing out on 4% of our salary put into retirement. That's literally free money. So even though we were paying off debt, we decided that we would put in 4% into our retirement accounts. That way we could get the match. And this is what we did during our entire debt-free journey. Once we were debt-free, we actually started putting in a little bit more money into a Roth IRA. We put like $200 a month into a Roth while we were working on saving for an emergency fund and also saving for a house. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that. He says to wait till investing after you have paid off debt, save for an emergency fund, and save for a down payment on a house. That can take a long time. The great thing about starting investing early is that you have time and compound interest on your side. So even if you're putting in just a little bit of something while you're working on paying off your debt, it can really add up over time. And again, during our debt-free journey, we really were just utilizing that employer match with our 401k, and we decided to wait till after we had become debt-free to really put more to investing because we wanted to tackle that debt as soon as possible. But I totally disagree with Dave on the fact that you shouldn't even be utilizing your 401k employer match during your debt-free journey and saving for an emergency fund. Now that we are debt-free and have our emergency fund, we are now maxing out our Roth IRAs, and we've also still continued to get the match with our employer for our 401ks. So in the year 2020, we've actually already maxed out our Roth IRAs for each of us, which is really exciting. And I am glad that now we get to put even more to our investments every month. The third thing that I disagree with Dave on is getting a 15-year mortgage. So this is something that we did not do, but Dave Ramsey will say to get a 15-year mortgage and have your payment be no more than 25% of your take-home pay. If this were the case for us, even though we make an above average salary for where we live, which is Portland, Oregon, the house that we could afford is basically non-existent unless you want something that's like half burnt down. Like it doesn't exist for a 15-year on 25%. But the thing that we wanted to really keep that we thought was going to be important was keeping that payment more around 25% of our take-home pay. So we decided to do a 30-year fixed rate mortgage and have that payment be around 25 to 28-ish% of our take-home pay. I mean, props to the people who can find a house on a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, but that was just not the case for us, even though our income is above average for our area. And the fourth thing that I disagree on is actually paying off our mortgage early. And this is something new because I totally was planning on paying off our mortgage early. A year ago, we bought our house, so this is our very first house, and we've really enjoyed living here. But when we bought, my initial plan was to pay off the mortgage as soon as possible and really work Dave Ramsey's baby steps like 4, 5, and 6 of investing for retirement, saving for kids' college, and then paying extra on the house to pay off the house early. But then as I started to look more at the math, it makes a little less sense to pay off the mortgage early. And this is just our opinion and what we're deciding to do. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, so this is not like financial advice. I'm just sharing like my thoughts and what we are deciding to do for us. So the interest rate that we have on our mortgage is 3.5%, which now interest rates are so much lower. But last year I thought it was amazing that we got a 3.5% interest rate. So our interest rate is super low. And when you look at the stock market, the average return that most people will use in trying to estimate like future value of returns in the stock market is around 7%. So we could be making 7% on our money in the stock market, hypothetically. Obviously that doesn't always happen. Or we could be paying off our house at an interest rate of 3.5%. So obviously we'd make more money on investing than we would paying down our mortgage. The other part of why we decided that we don't want to pay off our mortgage early is that the monthly payment for our mortgage will feel like less and less over time because of inflation. That payment's going to feel like less. And also, hopefully over time, our income will continue to increase, and therefore it's going to become a smaller and smaller portion of our take-home pay. So right now we are currently maxing out our Roth IRAs and saving over 15% for retirement, and we're also contributing $200 a month to our son's college education, which he's 3 months old. And so what are we doing with that extra money? Because Dave Ramsey would say to put it at the mortgage and pay off our house. What we're instead deciding to do is save for a down payment on a future house, and then eventually we want to make the house that we're currently in to be a rental, and we want to have enough saved for a down payment that we can move somewhere else and make that our new house for us and our primary residence. So basically, instead of paying off our house, we're saving money to be able to invest in real estate, essentially is what that is. Dave Ramsey and his plan is very, very conservative and very, very low risk, which is why he is a huge fan of paying off debt and increasing savings. And this is why he wants you to pay off your mortgage early, because banks can't come and take the house that doesn't have a mortgage payment on it. And I totally understand that sense of relief and freedom when you own your house outright. So I totally understand that our plan of not paying off our mortgage early and instead saving more for investing is a bit more risky, but this is what we've just decided to do for our family. And I know it's going to be different for everyone, so I don't think that someone who's decided to pay off their mortgage early is silly, because everyone has different goals. But for us personally, we've decided that we just aren't interested in right now in paying off our mortgage early. Maybe once we have that down payment saved for our next house, maybe we'll decide to start working on paying off the mortgage. But for now, we're just paying our minimum mortgage balance and basically just investing the rest. And the fifth reason why I stopped following Dave Ramsey is just that his plan is a one-size-fits-all, but that's really just not how it works. Personal finance is personal, and people are going to have different circumstances and want to make different financial decisions, and it really can't be a one-size-fits-all method. Everyone has to do what's best for them and what's going to meet their goals, and I feel like a lot of times Dave Ramsey can be really harsh on the people who aren't following him 100%. But I know that as we started like using credit cards more and we were saving for retirement even though we were in debt, like I feel like I couldn't share any of that because I wasn't following Dave Ramsey 100%, and that seemed to be judged as like being bad. And it's not bad. You are just doing what's best for you and your finances and your family. So those are the reasons why we decided to stop following Dave Ramsey. I still love listening to the Dave Ramsey show because I think it's really entertaining to watch, but I just know that we don't follow Dave Ramsey 100%. He has some really great principles, and he's really encouraged and inspired hundreds of thousands of people, myself included, but there are just some things that we disagree on, and that is totally okay. So thanks so much for hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already subscribed, and also give this video a thumbs up, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.
Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time